What's up, everybody? Happy Well That's Good Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week, but it is about to get so much better because we have two of my favorite guests and your favorite guest back on the podcast. And I really don't say that lightly. The last time they were on was one of our biggest podcasts ever. No joke. I'm not even kidding. You're shaking your head. It's true. We have Jason and Lauren Kennedy back on the podcast. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you, Sadie. Were you just gassing us up? Are those true statistics?
I was literally not gassing y'all up. That's a true statistic. That year, y'all were one of our top 5 of that year that y'all were on.
It was probably Renee Kennedy, my mom, and Cheryl Scruggs just refreshing over and over and over saying, this one's amazing.
No, it was like, not only was it, this is my favorite type of podcast whenever they do well, because it's not just that it gets a lot of views or listens, it's the reshares, it's the comments, it's the things that people really took from it. Like, it was talked about for a long time, even after it was released.
Wow.
And ever since, we're like, we have to have them back. People love them. And it's really impressive too, because most of our top 5 every year are always like family episodes when I have like my parents on or my siblings or something. And then it's always like one special guest. And you guys broke the family mold. So
that's unbelievable. I'm so glad that it resonated with people and it connected with all your amazing listeners. So thank you for having us back. We are truly honored to be here. It's so easy to chat with you.
I'm so thankful. Well, today's going to be so fun. One thing that people love the first time is just hearing about how y'all met and your relationship story. And because it has been so long since y'all been on, we have a lot of new listeners and everybody loves a relationship story. Can y'all remind everyone just how the two of y'all met and how long y'all been married?
What do you want to take on that?
So I never know how to start.
Hey, and you know, podcast listeners love the full story, so you don't have to like Instagram caption this. Like, you can tell us the full story.
We'll let it breathe, as they say in the business. It's a pretty wild story. I love sharing this story because I love seeing people's visual reactions and hearing what their reactions are when we say it. So whenever it does come up once in a while to a newer group of people, it's cool because the conversation can just take on a life of its own. But long story long, I've been a TV host for like 16 years on E! News. Took a little break, now back contributing to E! News. But I'll never forget, I was sitting at my desk and I went on to TMZ.com. Probably could have been on a better website, but sometimes you get good, there's some good news on there, you know? And I saw a really sad story. It said model loses arm and eye in plane accident from like a plane propeller. And I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. So I kind of put it in my brain. I kind of filed it away and it became a big story. It grew overnight. How does something like this happen? Who did this happen to? Who is this Lauren Scruggs from Dallas, Texas? And we covered it on E! Quite frequently. And then I said, I would love to interview Lauren about what happened. I reached out. There was some email, or I think you had some like a Caring Bridge or something, one of those. It was like not a GoFundMe or anything, but it was like Caring Bridge to keep people updated on your progress.
Stories, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember I emailed and I said, would love to interview Lauren, would love to meet Lauren. I know right now is not the time, but when she's recovered and has some bandwidth to talk, let's do this. And never heard back.
Hey, you guys shoot your shot.
That's right. Never heard back. And then probably a year later, my co-host at the time and best friend, Juliana Rancic, said, Lauren Scruggs. Remember that name? And I said, yeah, of course. Well, I'm going to interview her in Beverly Hills at the Peninsula Hotel. And then after, I'm going to bring her back to the E! News studio because we had to shoot the show that day. And I said, oh my gosh, yeah, I can't wait to meet her. And what did Juliana say to you to get you to come back to the studio? Because you were still recovering. I mean, it hadn't even been a full year and there was, physical transformations happening after surgeries and stuff. Do you remember?
So I didn't know him at all, obviously, before. And then
ouch. Didn't watch.
Oh my God. No, like personally. Of course I knew you.
I don't think you said you didn't watch. You didn't know. She had no clue.
I don't remember.
Did you see the email he sent? Was there a reason you didn't respond or had you just not seen it?
I wasn't even like managing my own emails. I think it was, I don't know, someone took over.
It was a blur for you.
So I was never even a part of like my emails or anything because there was so much going on. I think my best friend was handling it during that time. And because do you remember when he reached out?
Yeah, shortly after the accident, which, I mean, you were in the hospital for many weeks, and she was off the grid. So, by the way, we have 2 children, 18 months and 3, and they are downstairs. And thank you for being patient
Poppy
with the sounds coming. My 82-year-old mom is downstairs. She's visiting from Florida. She's looking after them. So there could be some background noise. That's not ideal on a podcast, but it is what it is.
People know I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old and one on the way. And we've actually had Honey and Haven on the podcast. And I like went back and watched the episode because it was like when Honey turned 3 and Haven was turning 1. And I'm like, I don't know if anybody else loved it, but I loved it. Like, you know, it was like 20 minutes of just nothingness, but it was the greatest thing ever to me.
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, let him scream, let him run around.
That's it.
Yeah, so we were, getting ready to shoot the show. You came to the studio.
Background is I'm not going to share that detail, but so Juliana reached out. She actually found out she had breast cancer. Weirdly, I met her at the fashion week before my accident. So my accident was in December.
Wow.
And we met. I don't think she would remember. She was in like such a daze, and I learned that after because she just found out she had breast cancer, but hadn't talked about it at all. And just like so briefly met in the hotel. And she later had a mastectomy and was in the hospital healing, and just told Bill, like, I need to reach out to that girl. She was watching an update on the TV, and she was like, I want to let her know she still has so much hope and so much life ahead. And so she reached out, I remember, on Twitter, and then we just started Skyping. That was kind of like the thing then. And she was really vulnerable with me about her experience with breast cancer. And I feel like we just bonded really quickly. And so about a year, or a little less than a year after that, she was like, can I do an interview with you and like sit down with you? And I was like, I would love that. And so after the interview, she was like, do you know Jason Kennedy? Like, y'all both love God and people, and I feel like you guys would just be really good to know. But like, she was definitely trying to set us up. But
we didn't know that at the time, and you probably didn't want to mention it earlier. I just noticed that a couple of minutes ago. But you were kind of talking to a guy in your recovery, like you were in therapy, physical therapy, essentially. You had the hots for one of the baseball guys he was like recovering or something. We still don't know his name. She won't say.
No, you met him.
Oh, I did?
Yeah. Oh, so I
didn't realize that.
This just
in. At One Day LA.
Oh, okay, got it.
He's like, which baseball player?
Yeah. Now I'm like,
oh my gosh. No, so I started rehab at the hospital, and I would come home like crying every day or crying to go. And my dad was like, what is going, like, why are you so upset to go? And he came in with me. He would usually just like, I would just walk in myself, and he'd like drop me off. And he came in and he was like, I just was like encouraging everyone, but everyone was just in like crazy circumstances. And they really like sheltered me in the hospital because of the news. So it like, and they also babied me a lot. And I was like, my dad was like, this is not for you because you just are the type, your personality is like, you need to be challenged and all this. So anyways, I went to, at the time it was Athletes Performance. Now I think it's Exos, but it was like probably 20 minor major baseball and football players like training for the upcoming season. So they were like,
right in her wheelhouse.
Yeah. You're like this like beautiful model.
I wasn't a sports guy.
Good place to be.
No, so it was like very healing for me because also I'm from Texas. So I would just like go throw the football with the guy. Like we would just do so many things, and they just didn't care that I was missing a hand or an eye. And like, they were amazing. They like planned a 1-year anniversary for me. Like,
that's me, I don't know. Cool.
It was just so sweet.
What a good dad too, to like see that in you, that was not the place you needed to be and move you. That's cool.
Totally. So it was, anyways, there were like crushes that happened too. And so that was, I had a crush on this guy when I met him. So I wasn't even thinking about.
If you're,
Carson Blair.
I just have to
Carson
shout out.
Blair.
It's out. The news is broken.
It's out in the open.
I'm going to go to IG after this and check his profile, see what Carson's up to.
Don't scroll, Jason. Don't get into the tag photos.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Listen, to everyone listening to this podcast, I would just highly encourage you to watch this on YouTube just for Jason's facial expressions. Everything Lauren's saying. It's so great.
She's getting a lot of side
Zoom
eyes.
in on Jace.
It's so great. She's getting a lot of side eyes over here with her crushes. Physical therapy. Okay, fam, I know we're heading towards fall, but I'm not letting go of summer just yet. We still got cookouts, swimming lessons, sticky afternoon walks on the schedule, which means we gotta stay hydrated. And here's the deal. Hydration isn't just about chugging water, it's also about your electrolytes. Your body needs the right balance to avoid feeling foggy, tired, or just plain blah, and Element is the one that I trust. It's a zero sugar electrolyte drink mix and sparkling water that actually works. I love sipping the raspberry salt in the afternoon when I'm dragging, and Christian has been loving the black cherry lime sparkling lately. It's like a treat without the sugar crash. Since I've been using Element, I've noticed fewer headaches, more energy, and honestly, I just feel better. I also don't have my leg cramps that I typically have, so it is a win. Element is truly for everybody. Whether you're an athlete, a workout hero, or just a mama trying to keep up, it is so easy to fit in your routine. It's something that I truly drink every single day. I love the watermelon. I love the raspberry. Their lemonade this summer was the greatest thing ever. I'm just a huge fan, and it really is kind of like a sweet treat for me, even though it has no sugar, so it's just a win. Get your free Element sample pack with any purchase at drinkelement.com/whoa. Try Element totally risk-free. If you don't like it, they'll refund your order, no questions asked. That's Drink Element, DRINKLMNT.com/whoa.
So she brings you to eat, but it wasn't like, in my mind, it wasn't like she was trying to set us up. Juliana knew that I wanted to meet Lauren, interview Lauren. And you got to understand, Sadie, you probably know this, but a lot of viewers may not know. When there's a big news story and you've got Good Morning America and Today Show, from Katie Couric to all the major networks trying to get the big interview, they send gift baskets and they say, we'll fly you first class and we will put you in the nicest hotels and whatever you need, you know. They don't pay, but because that's, you know, not broadcast, you know, standards and, you know, all that stuff, but they will take care of you. And Juliana really never did any of that. It was this really beautiful friendship. And you did a few other interviews, but Juliana, I think, was one of your last. And I'm thankful that happened, because when she came to the studio, I'll never forget it. I was like, hey, nice to meet you. Oh my gosh, really encouraged by your story. It wasn't this love at first sight thing, but I said, here are 3 things that I would love for, you know, you to do that I think you would enjoy. Go try an omelet at this place. I had heard her dad likes watches, so check out this watch store. And then if you like hikes, don't go to the hike that everybody does in LA, Runyon Canyon. That thing is way too bougie. Go to Franklin Canyon. Here's my cell if you have any questions. And we, to this day,
I actually said,
what?
It was a Friday and I was with my mom in the studio, and you were like, if you want to go hiking, I'm going hiking tomorrow with one of my best friends. If you want to come, just text me.
Oh, I was that overt.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years.
Because I am so Southern in the fact that I am not the type to like text a boy. I don't know. That's just like ingrained in me.
That is a Southern thing.
She
for
texted
sure.
me.
Yeah.
Because you like, you know, said if you're interested, text.
Got it.
So I was like,
well, she sent the text, ladies and gentlemen. And we still have that piece of paper framed in our house to this day in our office. And it's a really great reminder, because
sweet.
We went on that hike and it was a beautiful day. And we, you know, it had exchanged numbers. We were talking, we were texting, we were FaceTiming here and there. But nothing at that point in life made sense for me to date low, as we call it.
Say what Ryan did after.
Oh yeah, my friend who was hiking with us after they left, he starts getting emotional. He's like dabbing his eyes, and he goes, "I don't know, man. I feel like she'd be great for you." And I said, "Are you crying? You never really get emotional like this." And Ryan said, "Yes, she would be perfect for you." So the gears start turning a little bit.
So sweet, actually.
I was doing the Today Show at the time and hosting E! News. So every week I was flying back and forth from LA to New York. To date someone in Texas there was no time whatsoever. Prayed about it. Didn't want to make any fast decisions. but it just, we just kept marinating in the relationship, and you came out and visited one time. And, I think we knew at that point that it felt right. This was going to happen. So,
That's awesome.
the rest is kind of history. We've been married 10 years. We've got our two little nuggets,
That
and
is awesome.
we are, it's funny because we were talking about this before we went live. We could talk about it whenever you want, but this is a season of life where I feel like we've been arguing more than ever, and we're in therapy, and it's just hard with kids this age where you kind of just, it's just them, and trying to navigate all that. So I said, let's just put on a microphone and a camera and record our therapy session, like a real live therapy session with our therapist. And it was, it's really good. So we're obsessed
And
with,
this is out there in the world.
yeah,
Yep.
it's out there right now.
We
Just
got to
out
go
on YouTube.
listen.
Was it your idea? I feel like it was.
No.
Well, it wasn't?
No, it was you.
Oh, I wanted to give you the credit for that. We're trying to figure out, what do we do here? Because she came from a therapy background. Her parents, your mother cheated on your dad. They got divorced. For 7 years, begged your dad, hey, please, I made a mistake.
She became a Christian like 6 months after their
Wow.
divorce.
They quit their corporate jobs. They remarried to each other, and now they're marriage counselors. So therapy,
That's so cool. Wow.
Crazy,
I didn't
right?
know that. Yeah. What a
So
crazy story.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeff and Cheryl are therapists. My parents are not therapists. Therapy wasn't a big thing in our family. So coming into a family of marriage counselors and the idea of talking about your feelings and going deep, that was definitely foreign to me. But it's been really healing and really beautiful, and the response has been really nice. And
Well, even after just my accident, I feel like you
Yeah.
just go through, I went through like so many different forms of therapy,
Yeah.
depending on like what was happening,
You know,
in me. But
Man, that is so cool. I did not know that about your story, or that your parents are therapists. And I love that y'all are talking about that. We talk about that a lot on the show. I actually just had my counselor on a couple weeks ago, and kind of similar. It's always funny whenever she comes on, because I know it's going to end up being like a therapy session. And she's like so private, and like she would never share any of my stuff, but I share all my stuff,
Yes.
So it's like so great to have her on, and for people to see like what that dynamic looks like, because it is so helpful for someone else to speak truth into your life and help you get to the place or the point that you really see the truth in your life. Like, it's been so helpful for us. Christian and I always talk about it, because we've had our same counselor for premarital, and then she's been our counselor throughout our whole marriage, and she sees both of us, but also like us individually. And I'm always like, I don't know where we would be without her. Like, I'm so thankful for the ways that she's spoken to our life. But also, I just want to point out something before we get too far from it, because I always tell people, like, I love memoir books, because whenever you read a memoir, I feel like you learn so much more than you do from a book that has like step 1, 2, and 3. But you can't necessarily like when someone says, what'd you learn from that? You don't know exactly what to say, but you took so much from life experience. And one thing I do want to shout out about your story is even how you said you were literally living in LA. You're going from LA to New York, bouncing back. Here's a girl who like lives in Dallas. It made no sense to date at the time, but yet you just kept marinating on the relationship. And then now y'all are married for 10 years, have 2 kids. And I think so many people, like, that's such a good lesson in life, to not just rule out something because it logistically doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Because I was talking to someone the other day, and he's an older guy. He's been like really wanting to get married and settle down. And me and Christian were having dinner with him, and we were telling him about this awesome girl. And it was just this thing where he's like, but I mean, how would that work? Like, she lives here and I live here. And I'm like, don't worry about how it's going to work. Just go on a date, or like call her, like just start the conversation. And he just could not get out of his head that she lives here and he lived there, and how that would work, and what she does and what he does. And he literally just talked himself out of it, and he never even reached out. And I was like, man, that, obviously God has a good plan. You're not going to mess it up, but that could have been a big miss, just because we talk ourselves out of things because it doesn't look like the logistics are there. So I love in y'all's story, it did not seem like doable, but you just made it happen. How long did y'all date before y'all actually got married?
year? Or
Well,
I think a year before we got engaged.
I told her a little lie because I could tell she wanted to be engaged before you moved to California.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted a picture of like these clouds from the airplane, and I said, flying to New York, get ready to do the Today Show, when in fact I was flying to Dallas to propose to her. So she thought that I was in New York. I had my family there. All her friends had flown in. It was amazing. And that was about 6 months into the relationship. And I just wanted
a year.
A year, sorry. Guys, I don't remember times
I'm
anymore.
really bad at that too. I'm surprised.
Yeah. I don't remember times. I'm so bad with that stuff now. I barely remember what I did today, and it's only noon.
I do that too, and it's so funny because you say it so confidently, and that's 6 months, and you're so, that was a year. That's me and Christian.
She remembers dates way better than me.
No, I kind of don't.
It was a year?
Yeah.
Oh.
More because people have asked that question so much, and I like literally go back in my head, and I'm like, what was happening that otherwise I would have no clue.
Oh, I know what the 6 months after we got engaged, we got married 6 months later. Is that accurate information ish?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I knew the 6 months had something to do with it, but I could tell after we were discussing, like, I didn't want her to move to LA, like leave her family, everything she's ever known, especially still in recovery from her accident, move to this, big city, and me not be all in, even though in my mind I knew I was all in. So I tricked her and decided to propose there. And then 6-ish months later, we get married. But I wanted to piggyback on what you were saying, Sadie, because I've talked to a lot of friends, like the friend that you were just talking about, and how common is it that we get so far ahead and we don't even know, like in the moment we forget, like, okay, you're at dinner right now having this conversation and you don't even know what you're going to order for dinner right now. And yet you're trying to plan 5-10 years ahead. How is this going to work? How? Don't do that. I feel like years pass when you play the how game and you have no idea the opportunities, the relationships, job, everything that you're missing out on. And I just think that's a really good point, because we run into people like that all the time. And I'm like, stop overthinking it. And it's just, hopefully that can just be a good reminder. I'm glad you said that.
If you have kids and bedtime can feel like a contact sport, bath time battles, books on top of more books, 100 complaints if I'm thirsty. So by the time everyone is finally asleep, you're the one who needs a nap. And that's why my bed has to be the next level comfy, and Miracle Made sheets totally deliver. Y'all, these Miracle Made sheets are a whole experience. They're inspired by NASA tech and infused with silver, which means they'll naturally regulate your body temperature. So whether you're a hot sleeper, a cold sleeper, or a flip-flop sleeper, they will actually keep you at the perfect temp all night long. And here's the gross truth. Your average sheets can actually be nastier than a toilet seat. So that means bacteria, breakouts, odors, no thank you to any of that. But Miracle Made sheets prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, so they'll actually stay cleaner up to 3 times longer and help keep your skin happy and breakout free. Plus, they feel so luxurious too, like hotel sheets, but without that bougie price tag. So if you've been looking for a reason to upgrade your sleep setup, this is it. Guys, I love sinking into my bed at night with those cool sheets. It feels so amazing. Christian and I are just the biggest fans, and tell everybody about it. So upgrade your sleep. Go to trymiracle.com/whoa to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, you can order today and save over 40% off. And if you use my promo code WHOA at checkout, you'll get a free 3-piece towel set and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you can actually get a full refund. Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/whoa and use the code WHOA to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/whoa to treat yourself. It's a great reminder because it goes into so many different areas of our life. Like, you try to plan for all of these things, and it's like, who do we think we are that we have that much control, over like what life's going to look like and what's going to happen, because you really just don't know. Like one thing I did want to talk to y'all about, and this was, I don't think that we talked about this at all the last time y'all were on, was a little bit of your infertility journey and how you got to having your 2 kids, because that's another thing. People always are like, okay, and then I'm going to have a baby a year in, and then I'm going to blah. And it's like, you cannot plan that because like so much of it is out of your control. And so can y'all share a little bit of that journey? I think it's so cool that y'all are willing to talk about it. It's something that we just started talking about on this podcast. My sister actually shared her story, and she had not opened up about it anywhere. And she was like, okay, I think I'm ready to share the story, and wanted to just have a safe place to do it. But it was so hard for her to do that and to overcome just sharing it. So I'm super thankful y'all are willing to even share that part of your story.
I feel like it was funny because I think at the beginning of, or a few years after we were married, we're like, we could start trying now or whatever. And we were just had that kind of mindset, but not like, I'm going to track my cycle. It wasn't ever really like that. And then I remember talking to my mom, I remember like what street I was on in Studio City. And she was like, maybe you should just like go check yourself physically to see if there's anything that's like keeping you from getting pregnant. But we weren't like desperate for it. We're like, we want kids, but we feel like we have so much joy in our life and it'll only add to our joy. But like, just, we knew God knew when these kids, if we could have any, would come into our life. So, and backstory, my parents actually they lived out here for several years, and they did one of the first forms of IVF with my sister and I. So we're twins. And
wow.
So I feel like I just heard so much about IVF growing up, and just with like no shame, my mom like shared so much with us about it and the whole process. So I was pretty familiar with it. But anyways, we went to go get like physically checked, and then we were like, okay, maybe we need to like do some things and
meet with some specialists.
Yeah. But I feel like we both just really embraced the process. Like, I feel like it was not, this like might sound so crazy. I just think it was like not a stressful process for us, because I feel like we found a doctor we trusted and connected with, and just felt it just was so efficient and smooth and a good experience. And I put like boundaries on myself. Like, I'm not going to Google anything. I'm going to trust this doctor. I'm not all for medicine if it were like my choice, but like medicine truly like helped save my life, alongside obviously like the Lord ultimately is in control, but like there's such a place for it. And I remember reading a book actually, I think it was like Pray Big Things. And she was talking about how forever she thought IVF or whatever was wrong. And she just got like such clarity from the Lord one day that it was the next step, and that it was like a gift that this is available and that we can use this to help have kids. And she ended up having triplets or whatever. But I remember reading that book and being like, it was like so clear to me. I was like, we're supposed to do this. And
wow,
we started that process, and I feel like we were just in it together. We involved our friends. Like, our friend was a nurse 5 minutes away, and she would come give me shots. And it just like made it really communal and great. And I feel like we just like really trusted the process.
But it was hard. I mean, I remember that shot story. Just was a Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we're in a parking lot, and there were a lot of painful moments for you, because I remember seeing it. I'm like, man, this is wild what women have to go through just to get pregnant. You know, in high school, it's like, you can get pregnant. Be careful. You could get pregnant. And it's very hard. And I remember the first time I went in there to try to figure out, is it me? Is it her? Is it both of us? And even the little things, the doctor's like, where do you put your cell phone? I'm like, well, in my pocket. He goes, do you realize every 10, 15 seconds, there's radiation hitting that phone. There's a signal that going there.
Kills all of your sperm within seconds.
Yeah. So, and now the numbers of people not being able to have kids are drastically skyrocketing. You can look up and do the research yourself and see. So the whole journey was eye-opening, fascinating. It became abundantly clear to us that we were not going to be able to get pregnant naturally. We were okay with that after we digested it. And we started that journey, and it was incredible. And it worked And sometimes it doesn't work. We have a lot of friends going through it right now, and it's so easy to get stressed out about it. And you learn the right and wrong things to say to people, like, just keep trying. Well, that doesn't help saying that to a woman whose body is being exhausted, So it's really special. It's really private and personal. And for some reason, talking about it just became a natural response. And you did such a great job at making people feel like they were a part of the journey. And I think ultimately really helped people.
Well, it was cool because there were girls, friends of ours, that we didn't even know were doing IVF. And was it kind of during COVID time? Yeah, because you can come up.
Don't ask me. We're not good with dates.
Yeah,
the time.
It was definitely during COVID because you weren't allowed to bring a guest up to the doctor.
You're right. Yeah.
But so I remember the first time we went, like I went in to get something done. I don't know what it was, but I came down and you're like, how did it go? And you're recording me, and I'm like kind of used to him just recording. And so I didn't think anything of it. And then he posted it, didn't care anything. But it wasn't like super intentional. Yeah. And then I remember us getting so many messages from women being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing. I just feel so much shame, and I feel like a failure that I have to do this. And I mean, like, so many. It was so eye-opening. And yeah, it was like cool how that worked, because we weren't even thinking, oh, so many people feel this way about this process. It was just like naturally sharing, and then that occurring. And I truly think so much of that is because of my mom just being so open about it when I was a kid. But also, and it just being such like a gift to have the opportunity to do that, even though, it's like not always easy. But I think perspective of like not minimizing that pain, but your perspective of like, I'm doing this for a reason. And for me, the most helpful is like bringing people around me. I had a few friends that were like a couple months ahead of me, and truly there were like 3 of them, and they'd be like, okay, during this point for a week, you'll kind of feel really bloated and like really tired and uncomfortable. And it was so nice to have just like friends in that journey. And
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Then you got overstimulated, and we had to go to the ER. Like, there were nights. There were definitely nights. So I know you say the process was like kind of, I just remember, I think sometimes it's easy as time passes to kind of show some of those memories, but you were unbelievable. And now we have River Rhodes Kennedy, who is 3 years old. And fast forward a little bit, we were at a friend's birthday party, and I'll never forget it. We get home, and Lo's like, I haven't been feeling good. I think I wanted you to have like a glass of wine or something. And you're like, I just haven't been feeling good. I'm like, for how long? 3 weeks. What? So I go to CVS. She pees on the stick, and she's like, I'm not pregnant. And then she holds it up. Pregnant. Naturally. What are we talking about?
No, I feel like I kind of knew that night, because I was like, I had the exact same feelings I had with Riv when I was at the beginning of that pregnancy. And I was like, oh my gosh, because we didn't think that would happen. I remember
we were told from multiple doctors and specialists that from California to Dallas that it wouldn't happen. And a lot of people didn't say that to us. We always wanted to have another child. I think going back to planning your life out, the plan was maybe another year, 2 down the road. But again, that's ridiculous. We're not planning anything in life. We're not running the ship.
That is the coolest story. That's crazy. It's so cool. It's I love hearing your perspective, because even just walking through this a little bit with my sister, and hearing just things that people have said to her and things that people post and whatnot, the whole talk about IVF has been like a really hard thing to process for her, because there's just so many opinions. And I think it's super cool to hear a perspective from someone whose mom has such a beautiful perspective, because it brought her greatest joys in life. And you're like always grew up feeling like, of course, this is the biggest blessing. Like, this is the avenue in which like God used for me to be here. And so then for you to like have that perspective of it, it's just so cool. And how you were like, I didn't want to Google anything. I just like trusted that this was the path that we were on. This is the doctor that we have. Like, that is just a really refreshing perspective from your story that not a lot of people have heard, because a lot of people, their perspective is like from Google or from Instagram or from people's opinions or some story that they heard. And so it's just like super cool that was your perspective going in. And I love too that you looking back on it was like, oh, it's such a wonderful journey. And then Jason's like, yeah, but it was really hard, because that's so just like pregnancy in general. Like
Totally.
I was talking to my doctor because I'm about to have our third, and I have to have C-sections because of our first labor. We had like a really rare thing, and so anyways, I have to have C-sections, and I was like, what do you think about a VBAC? Like, I just started asking my daughter. He's like, I think you forgot. Do I need to remind you? Like, you know, what happened?
Copy.
Yeah, copy. Sorry. I should have let that lingo go with a little definition.
Dr. Robertson over here.
I know, right? Because a lot of people, you know, have C-sections and they have VBACs, but like, I wasn't really remembering, oh, like mine wasn't just a normal situation. Like, obviously, that would be not a good idea for us. But it was just funny because I think he forgot. And I was like, I think I did. And he was kind of reminding me of some things in the hospital. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, let's just do a C-section. Never mind. But it is funny how your brain like forgets because you're just so grateful for what pregnancy brought you and what labor brought you, no matter how painful it was or crazy it was. It's like really cool how that happens to our brains when you think back.
What is up, y'all? This is Christian filling in for Sadie while she is on maternity leave. Summer's all about pushing harder, whether I'm hitting a morning workout, spending the day outside, or just trying to keep my energy up. AG1 Next Gen has been my go-to for staying on top of everything. Sadie and I have trusted AG1 for years, and I am fully locked in with this next-gen upgrade. When I mix up that one scoop every morning, I can tell it's setting me up for success. It's quick, easy, and I feel the boost in my energy and my focus. Plus, it's been like a secret weapon for my gut and immune health and recovery, which means I can go all out and still feel good the next day. It is a must-have for me, and I love knowing that it's clinically backed to fill those gaps my diet might miss. After more than just 3 years taking it daily, I can honestly say it's been a total game changer for us. I love taking AG1. It's been a staple in my routine, especially in the mornings. I like to work out in the mornings, and before I do that, I love drinking AG1. Like I said, it helps my immunity, my gut health. We have 3 kids now, so sicknesses are everywhere, so I love taking something that's going to help with my immunity, and I think it tastes delicious. It gets my day started off right. I know that I'm getting all the nutrients that I need first thing in the morning. And now they have dropped some awesome new flavors, tropical, citrus, and berry, along with the original. If you're a bit of an OG guy like me, I think the original one is amazing, but I love the berry one. Citrus is great too, but the berry, it just kind of has, you know, that more fruity taste, and I love the berry flavor, but you cannot go wrong with any of the new ones. Like I said, that is my favorite, but honestly, all the flavors are super legit. No added sugar, no weird extra ingredients, just a great tasting way to start off my day. And I'm proud to team up with AG1 because I know they've got my back when it comes to fueling my body. Give the new AG1 Next Gen flavors a try today. Head to drinkag1.com/whoa or scan the QR code and you'll get a free welcome kit worth $76 when you subscribe, including 5 AG1 travel packs, a shaker, canister, and a scoop. That is drinkag1.com/whoa to get started today.
Well, I think during that process, honestly, I think a lot of it was I had been through like such a crazy recovery with my accident that like in your brain, you're kind of like,
facts.
Nothing could have been worse than that. Or nothing can be worse than that.
Yeah.
But how supported I was during that process, and I healed very well and felt so much community around me in the worst times and in great little, even like tiny celebrations that we would have all the time. And like, so in my mind,
perspective,
it wasn't like a huge deal, but I know that's like super rare and weird. It's just
in my mind, it was a huge deal because I wasn't with her when she went through her first accident.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm totally just freaking out. And we had a similar, I don't know your birth story. I apologize if you've shared that before, but I, being at the hospital in River, we were going to do natural birth. It didn't work out after 24 hours. And then we get to the hospital and he's got the cord wrapped around him. He's decelerating, I believe was the word. And then they're like, we have to do an emergency C-section. And then like 20 doctors come in. And after all that,
not doing a C-section. Yeah. And we ended up doing like vacuum, but then our doctor literally like stuck his hands up my area and just pulled River out. And I was like, thank you. He could like see that I didn't want to do I knew what emergency C-section
What a
was.
description.
Well, because you're already like that. Hey, look, this podcast, they heard it. I came on and told my birth story right after.
I was like,
I had honey. No, that seriously, I think I've said on this podcast before because I was telling my birth story. And similarly, like we probably should have gone to the emergency C-section, but it was like, it's that moment where if you like, you're kind of too far in it, like you have to.
Yes. I've gone this far.
Yeah, like you have to. And they started pushing on my abdomen. It was the most painful thing. But I was like, it was so crazy because it pushed me down. Everything's crazy. And I've said on this podcast before, I was like, I felt like a deer in the wild. Like, you know, when you see like videos of like deers having babies, like it was like,
Totally.
it was like so crazy. So that was not too
Like a
far.
giraffe,
Just to assure you, it's been said on here before.
No.
Well,
But
funny.
that's a panic moment, and you don't know because that was your first. It was my first, so I didn't.
Totally.
I knew this is not right, but I didn't know how bad it was till later.
No, same. So we went in for a check-in with our doctor, you know, whenever you go in for the first check-in. Or maybe it was like a year later. I don't know, whatever. We were with our doctor at some point and he was like, I will never get that out of my brain, like the trauma of that birth. And I was like, what? And Jason was like, same, man. And I literally was like, wait.
Oh, that was a crazy.
That's when it wakes
2 days.
you up. Yeah, when the nurses are like, I was so scared. Like I didn't realize my mom did because my mom was in the room and my mom had been in my sister's births and they like went really easy. Not easy, but like they went right.
Yeah,
they went the way they're supposed to go. And so my mom knew like this is not good. And so she almost passed out. Like she had to go like to the back of the room and they were, you know, they were worried about her and she didn't want them to like worry about her. So are you going to pass out? She said, no, I'm just praying. But she was actually going to pass out.
But she was like trying to like her.
She's like,
yeah, I'm just praying. I'm just praying.
She's like, I'm praying and meditating.
She actually was probably praying too, but she was going to pass out. But anyways, it was like the next day when the nurses started telling me like how scary that was. And they like still talk about it. I was up there the other day and I like saw all of our nurses and they're just like, oh, that first one, I'm so glad you're doing it. Like, and it's so crazy because then you're like, whoa, that's wild. Like I didn't even realize, but it's amazing because then, and I've had people say to me like, oh, I'm just scared. Like what happened to you is going to happen to me. I'm like, no, I would never want anyone to be scared of going into labor.
Yes,
like, I never want my story to scare you because I'm not scared. Like I'm having our third, you know, like you went on to have another. It doesn't make you not want to do it again because God was there and with you. And obviously like part of the beauty is you didn't know it was going to happen. It just happened and then they took care of it and you know, you carry on. And so it's amazing. Like you look back at those things and you do not have the same memories as what actually happened. You just remember that's how your baby got here.
Well, I remember too, like there were like so many people in the room because they're like preparing for the birth and just if there was any emergency with like River or whatever. And everyone was cheering every time I pushed. Do you remember that?
Heck yeah, I remember it.
And it was
Kidding?
like so incredible. Like I literally was like,
that was the greatest moment ever, and also the scariest.
Push, like everyone just coming alongside you and just like supporting you. Like, ooh, that like makes me like tear up. It was so amazing.
It is so.
And then
amazing.
you like
the connection that you form with each other, with your partner after going through birth is wild. I remember just months, a year, however long after, and it's like. You're like the big teddy bear and you're like, oh, and if we could only have that continue forever in marriage, but yes, there's the ups and the downs. But sometimes it's cool to even, I was thinking about that as we were talking about it, going back to, how almost territorial and protective you get. And, it's a fresh reminder. And, that was cool for me to hear again.
Maybe if there's or maybe if there's like a thing you can't get past or just you're like, you know, having little silly minor arguments, maybe you should just sit together if you had a really meaningful birth and just reflect on your birth.
I mean, seriously,
really
Christian and I did that one time because So after Honey was born, it was like this amazing moment because the song Million Little Miracles was playing in the background. And it was just so cool because she started breathing on her own, and she her shoulder was supposed to be broken because she had shoulder dystocia. So when the doctor went to get her out, he realized what was happening, which is called shoulder dystocia, and they couldn't get her out. And eventually the doctor has to break the collarbone so the baby can come out. So I, of course, didn't know that was happening. But that was what was happening. And it was just so crazy because the song is playing and they're telling me like she's breathing on her own, and like they're like, and her shoulder's not broken, and they're just like they're so amazed, like they can't believe what's happening, and the song's playing, and it's like so crazy. And of course, I didn't really understand that in fullness until later. But I do remember the song playing, and I do remember that giving me so much peace because I knew God was doing a miracle. And what's crazy is that, it's so interesting because when you think about miracles, and you know this so well because you have survived something so wild, it's like you always, when you're young, you're like, oh, I want a miracle. I want to see a miracle. I want to see a miracle. Then when you're older, you realize in order to see a miracle, you have to go through a moment of desperation. And actually, to see a miracle, you have to go through something like really hard, because it's when you can't do something, like you need the God of the impossible to intervene in your life. So miracles can kind of be like heavy. And so that was our first encounter with that. And even though it was so special, something about it just scared me for a long time. And so I could not listen to that song, which is crazy because you would think that would be like so sweet, but I just could not listen to it because it would make me kind of go back to that place because, you hear the beeping of the thing. Like it was like all the little details that I could just tell something was going wrong. So it kind of made me anxious. So we didn't listen to it. Then a couple months into postpartum, that was like our hardest season in not even really just our marriage, but just for me in my life, because I had just gone through like postpartum anxiety and all this stuff that I did not expect to go through, And one day Christian's like, let's listen to the song. And we just sat on the bed with our little newborn and listened to the song, and we just cried and like hugged each other. And it was one of the most powerful moments of our marriage, because we went through something together that bonded us so deeply. And it's so cool now because Honey's 4, and that's one of her favorite songs. And so she sings it to us, and she'll sing it at night. And she asked me to sing it like every night. And of course, it's like my greatest joy. And it's just so cool, like what you go through as a couple. And it's those moments. Like it doesn't matter what you go through in a day. When your 4-year-old starts singing Million Little Miracles, the song you both cried to, you're good,
That's incredible.
Good perspective.
Good perspective for sure. I do want to ask y'all, because you mentioned this is a crazy season. You have 2 little bitties. Y'all both are like powerhouses doing a million different things, starting all these different things, and very driven people. And I love how you're like, hey, it's hard. Like marriage is hard. Bring counselors in. Give us a little bit more insight to that, because I'm sure so many people listening are like, I need that therapist.
Yeah, I think there's a stigma that if you fight or you argue in your relationship, it's, it could be awkward or it's not supposed to be that way. And obviously every relationship is different for us. We just have found ourselves arguing more than ever, little things. And then we do this thing where we'll be arguing about something, and it has nothing to do with what's happening in that moment. It has to do with an issue that was unresolved over a year ago.
Yep.
How she didn't feel like I was there for her during the second pregnancy to help move things in the closet, or and in my head, I was like trying to work really hard so that we could support, our daughter who was getting ready to come into the world in the middle of a TV business that's constantly changing. And, I have my side, she has her side, but how do we come together? How do I not try to win an argument and just actually have a conversation?
And validate.
What does validation mean? How do you validate your spouse? If I hear the word validate one more time, I'm going to lose my mind, right? But I have to go, no, this is important for her. So how do I do that? So I said, let's put the mics and cameras on. We have never done any sort of, we've toyed with the idea of doing a podcast. Most people probably know the success of your podcast is unbelievably rare. Podcasts are a dime a dozen these days. So I'm like, well, what if no one likes it? And I'm like, stop doing it for other people. Do it for yourself. It
That's
actually
right,
might be helpful.
Yeah.
So we did. And I was reading some of the comments. You know how comments can be wild west in the comment section. I would say 99% of the comments were like, wow, this is really helpful. And we're thankful that you decided to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely will do more. But in a nutshell, the wisdom we got from our therapists and just other parents who have children is, this obviously is the hardest season of your life. It's not always going to be like this because of the ages of your children. There's multiple factors, but I've learned a lot, and I'm glad that other people have as well.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel like generally in my life, I think with women and just friends specifically that have kids, it more feels like we want to approach things that are harder and work on them and deal with them and figure out wisdom and talk to other women and do those kinds of things. I feel like men generally, I'm saying this in such a general way, but have to almost learn that skill, and it's not as instinctual for them. Even to go get counseling might seem a little scarier, or you just don't want to deal with certain things and uncover certain things. And I think that women carry so much, what is it called? Household, the load, the mental load for the home. And we think so differently as to what's important to us having a family and how our home is even situated, certain cleanliness or whatever it might be. And men just have different desires. And I think realizing both are okay, but learning how to communicate and actually try to understand how that person feels, even if it's not how you would feel. Yeah. But being that's so real to you, and how can I be better? I remember you even telling me, something that I did that frustrated you. And I was like, thank you for telling me this, because I would never assume that would frustrate you, even though I know you inside and out. But that helps me so much to understand that, you feel like I was just being aloof or something. And I'm like, no, it actually just, it's my personality. I'm just so chill, but I'll get stuff done. It's an interesting combination, but it's when you hear the other person's perspective and it's just clear, open communication, and you go into it without feeling offended or whatever, but for the common goal of growing as a couple and understanding each other better. And even, I don't know, it just makes your relationship so different. Yeah. And so much deeper. And
I think that's so needed. I know podcasting everybody has podcast, seems it's hard to hit, but at the same time, it's so needed because long form conversation, it teaches people so much. I think many people are used to a TikTok or YouTube, or they're following all these little influencers, or not YouTube, I should have said Instagram Reels and TikTok, these short form things. And they follow these influencers and they are inspired by their lives. But to get to you can't learn that much, you can learn how to make your matcha, or how to do this or little things, but
get ready with me.
You don't get a glimpse into how do you overcome an argument? And even if you read a great caption, you're still not seeing two people actually walk through an argument. And I think that's the beautiful thing about podcasting and long form conversations. That's one of my favorite things I get told when people, talk about this podcast, is they always say, I love when your mom's on, because I didn't have a mom, or maybe I didn't have a Christian mom, or I didn't have good women godly examples, and so I learned so much from her, or I learned so much from your grandma, or your friendships and how you operate in them. It's they're really back to that kind of memoir thing. They're learning from just real-time conversations. A lot of people don't even know how to have intentional conversations. You're so used to just how's the weather? What'd you do today? What'd you have for lunch? And it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but they don't know how to go deep. And you learn that through listening to others, through listening to intentional conversations, and how people listen and how people overcome whenever someone sitting across from them is different than them, but they still respect them enough to learn from them and listen. So I think what y'all are doing is so important. I mean, to get to give the gift to people to look into a marriage and like see what those conversations look like and those arguments, and then hear a counselor speak into it and you guys receive it, and like that's huge. That is so inspiring and so good and so needed. So I definitely hope you keep doing it. And I think that one name you should throw in the hat for this.
Yeah, help us. We need help with names.
I mean, you said it when you said, if I hear validate again, but that's kind of what validate, like
validate me.
It's like, that's validate
Or
me.
no,
That's
if I
cute.
hear validate again.
Yeah,
But
or-
Is
it's
that
like,
what you think?
well,
Validate
I thought
again.
that was funny. Like if I hear validate again or validated or something, because it's like,
yeah.
everything you're saying is valid. I see what you're saying and I want to learn from it. And I care about you enough to like hear what you're saying. Like that's a valid point. Like y'all are validating each other. And that's what the podcast kind of is. So I'm just throwing that out
Yes.
there.
Wait, I
If
love
it
that.
sticks,
That's so
it
good.
sticks.
I received that.
I love it.
Thank you.
You guys
That's
are,
actually great.
Hey,
I really like
I
that.
actually was like, this is it. I think this could be
Sadie,
it.
wait, I'm obsessed.
Yay.
We could be onto something here. Do you have like a copyright fee?
No copyright fee. Hey, you heard it here first. All of our Well That's Good listeners will be listening to Validated. They'll be like, I was there when this started. And so that all I care about is that I was a part of this conversation and I'm blessed by it. But
I
no,
love it.
seriously, I could talk to y'all all day long. An hour flies by with you guys. Thank y'all so much for coming on the podcast again, being just so authentically yourselves. You're such an inspiration to so many. And for all of our listeners, get ready for their new podcast. May or may not be called Validate. You should also go back and listen to the one they already did. And we'll link in the show notes some of the other cool things y'all are up to. Even Lauren mentioned the cleanliness of her house. And I know you have a whole brand of wipes and different things that we'll make sure to link. But you guys are awesome. And we're super grateful for you coming back on the Well That's Good podcast.
Sadie, we love you
for
so
having
much. You're
us.
always so easy and a joy to talk to. And
Thank
great
you,
to see you
guys.
always. Hopefully it's
I know,
in person
thank you.
soon.
Yes, that would be great.